So why is ACC significant? I mean, ACC is a comprehensive platform wherein there is something called work plan, and we're going to try to highlight what role work plan will play in ACC. We start by this recording that will showcase some of the capabilities signifying how potent the platform can be when you start connecting the dots. I've been hearing the mention of meetings, but on site you would need issues, you would need forms, you would need far much more information, sheets, descriptions, all of that. And users usually tend to waste a lot of time, and frustration is the result from this, that they are looking for something, and maybe rework, maybe accidents, maybe stress, whatever can be the outcome from that. It's a common theme. As you see, currently, I'm jumping between something called asset and schedule. And then I'm going back and I'm doing some other exploration. So you can imagine a foreman. I mean, he wants to understand what was the history regarding this wall, and he's just navigating the different dependency rather than jumping in, jumping out. And on the corner of schedule, we have something called more. What is that more? This picture highlights what that more is supposed to be. It is work plan. And we will shortly demonstrate what work plan is and the capabilities that are already there, and maybe even hint of some upcoming potential. But basically what work plan does is that it takes the schedule, or without schedule also, allows you to create a motion inside of your project. Rather than having information stored, you want to delegate it to counterparty, you want some feedback in return, and you want the next person in line to act because something has been completed. But the role that a work plan plays in this scenario is that we have created a very dense core of information in assets, and we can now reference those two chambers of information. It's not only those two chambers, we can reference far much more. So let me show you how that would behave inside of ACC. So we have something called the schedule. Sorry, should have been prepared going to English. So, yeah, so we have something called schedule. And in that we can import either Microsoft project, Primavera P6, or Asta Power projects. So we don't need to modify these files. We can just drop them inside of schedule, and we will meet what we usually see as a PDF or Excel document, but far much more digital. Here we can interact with that information. We can filter it, we can scope it, we can see it as a list or as a Gantt or as a combination, opening up new possibilities regarding existing information. But beyond that, what we can do is that we can, for example, just for the fun of it, I can select these two and I can say, now I want to create a plan based on these activities. I already have. Let's look at this one. So we have taken activities where I have brought them inside work plan, and we can do more. And what is that more? We can say that this task is assigned to a certain company. For the fun of it, I do it like that. And as you see, my actions will have a repercussion. I could even assign it to different roles, different individuals, location, or a work breakdown structure. But let's go back to the company view. This task is supposed to take 1 day during this time period. And it implies that if that is done, the next person can go in. But what will happen now is that, oh no, we had a delay. As you see, as soon as I shifted the delay, it automatically impacted the following events. We also got a warning highlighting that there is a discrepancy between what was in the primary schedule and what we are doing now inside the work plan, which means that we need to imply those changes backwards. We can, of course, modify this event and say, yeah, it was supposed to take 1 day, but for some reason, we think it's better that it would take 2 days. Yeah. Again, impacting the overall planning. There is different type of works. You can even put in some description, comment. You can see the relationship, who comes before me, who comes after me, both visually, but inside the task description. The power comes into when we're talking about references. So with references, we start to be able to connect the dots. It's not only that the task has to be done, but we will require what relationships would we need to create to do this task. And the end user would then have those relationships at the tip of the finger, rather than being lost in a maze of information to navigate and to then complete the task. As you see, very extensive possibility to access all of the different corners of the platform. So let me then go to showcase what happens if we instead think of a scenario. So inside of this task, in this work plan, we have something that is, we are going to build a custom place wall. And I've just made it randomly, but we have a process, and all this process is actually reflected back into the checklist that has exactly the same organization. So let's look at this. Here is the reference to that form. Inside that form, we have said that I am responsible for these topics. Then the third topic is somebody else responsible for. Again, leaning towards this company is supposed to do that work. So if you follow this thread, you would eventually complete your task and complete the checklist. And if it happens to be that there is any discrepancy, we are required to create an issue. Because the platform is that dynamic. So relating time to the checklist, and in that checklist, if there is any problematic topic that needs to be addressed, we would be able to follow this thread, create an issue, delegate it to a counterparty, and from there get a resolution. So we are here now. Workplan was released in March this year, and it's growing rapidly. Some of the things that are exciting is, for example, that you would be not in too distant future be able to reference your work plans to other work plans, which means that you could build an overarching work plan that is dependent upon sub work plans, and you can link them together in a chain of sequence. There is, of course, very good filter options. You can say that, for example, if I change the status of this one to complete, I can then go and say, yeah, I want to find what tasks are completed. Again, the end user should not be drowning in sea of information. It should be very much more accessible than that. You could even sort it by, for example, references. So show me everything that is connected to a form. These are the tasks that are connected to a form. Is there anything connected to, for example, any issue? No, nothing was connected to an issue. This is the web experience. And of course, you get all of the, different settings and permissions and all that. In the mobile experience, the end user is able to access the content of the task, and beyond that is able to report back if the task is completed. But again, if there is a reference to something, you access that reference, and from that reference, if there are any additional actions required, you will follow that thread of experience even in the mobile. We can define what work days there are, what work breakdown structure we are leaning towards. All of that can be done in settings. And again, I want to highlight that there is significant development ongoing inside the platform regarding work plans. I don't know how I'm doing time-wise, but I do want to give some time to Palle to showcase.
6 minutes.
Yeah, Palle, maybe it's time then for you to jump in if we got that stuff rolling. Did you?
Sorry for that. Yeah. Let me try to show you how it looks on the app side of it. Because as we talked before, the app start, it's very important for us to see, hey, how does this actually reflect on site? And I hear there's a big background noise, so if you can mute, Abbas, would you mute? Thank you. So you see my app right now. We're supporting iOS, Android, tablet, phone, your choice. So what we follow here is Abbas's project here, where you see that I can get the full project out. I can filter down and say, what is the task assigned to me? But the thing is also with the plans that Abbas can push those out to who is this relevant for? Who is know the most about concrete? Who knows the most about electrician? So we can push the plans out to who is in charge, who knows the best. So we can push these detailed tasks out. But the things we like very much is the opportunity, as you said before, let's see the references. So I can see that reference of the form that Abbas looked at just before, but also I can see the detail of the plan, and I can push back updates to it and say, you know what, I start this process here, and this is by now 22% done. Since I'm online right now, that information sits on Abbas's screen right now. If I go in here, say this one here is marked complete. We update the status down here, and we update the status percentage already for you, just in one click button. The thing is that when Abbas gets back this on screen, he will see those lines on top of his charts saying where is the process on it, and also the overarching information or the time plan coming from the main schedule that would have the full process as well. See how far are we due to time. Since this is about due to time, as Abbas showed before, if you're looking from a scope perspective with your assets, you can see what is the related time task, and where we do to then from a scope perspective, where we do to time. If I did the same thing from a cost perspective, I can look from a cost management or price costing perspective and say, hey, where are we according to time? So we make the full project management triangle, and that's actually what we try to do with connecting all those dots. So make it relevant for the users and have the ability to switch around what is the point of view as me as a project manager. So these were the very short introduction into what we do with the schedule. Remember, for us, the schedule is the overcharging, the main project plan coming in from various platforms or the XML version of those exports, and bring that in and keep those updated. And with at the platform as well, we have the opportunity then to compare what is updating, so we can keep following track on what is updated on the overall plan as well. All right. I think we had 2 minutes left here, and I want to open up if there was any questions for us.
First of all, thank you, Abbas and Paula, for a great presentation, and very collaborative. It's the first one where actually 2 people switched like you did. So very along the lines of involving in lean, right?
Yeah.
So we wrote in the chat that anyone could ask questions while you were presenting. There haven't come any at this point. But I have prepared a little bit for myself and perhaps Björn as well, in case there's no one, but I will give people a few seconds to write if they have something right now.
I can give one comment while you're typing in then.
Sure.
One of the things that you saw as well, Abbas marked them and say, hey, this is an inspection, this is a task, this is what we're also doing now with the inspection is to say, hey, instead of have the inspection plan sitting on the side as an administrative task to do, and I have my time schedule, let's merge them together. So when I'm on site, you see that I'm working from my process plan and say, hey, okay, here's where I do my check. Okay, what is the check I'm doing? So the quality check becomes an active part of the plan. It's not something that's sitting on the side here Friday afternoon and say, oh yeah, by the way, I also need to fill out that checklist. Let it be an active and value asset into the process plan. That's what we try to enforce here as well. So, but yeah, Ron, did you have comments?
Good. Yeah. So one question, or I guess a mix of question and commentary, just because I've seen ACC been presented a few times before, but perhaps it was a little bit quick for people who are new to it. So Abbas, you showed the desktop version, right? So you're sitting in the office on your computer with Gantt schedules and also the work plan lean schedules. And then we switched to Paula, and you mentioned it obviously that you're on a device right now, an iPad or some kind of tablet, it looks like. Yes, so what you are showing here is meant for the field, right? So for people out in the field can report like you showed as they're standing where the work is happening. And for people who haven't used tools like this too much in this community, it means that you automatically sync up from the field, and this shows immediately on Abbas' computer, right?
If the device is online, it pushes it up. If it's not, then when it finds connection, it pushes up the updates.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. Since I'm presenting here, I am online. That's why it pushes automatically right away.
Excellent, including photos to document how well the work has gone. It looks like.
Yeah. So it's that's one of the key difference on our app today is that it's actually offline first. So it's primarily built to run offline, but when it has connection, it's him just pushing back the updates.
So to your point, Roar, that I mean, if there are pictures, it even captures the GPS coordinates. So if that adds value, the point is to create a chain of connectivity that is for the end user. It's not the exploration of all of the different corners. It's rather you just select your way forward to the actions that you want to. And for later on, if you want to derive insights from the data, it should be able to, we can backtrack the relationships also to uncover some warranty issues or whatever that might be.
Okay, excellent. So thank you both. We need to move on, but and as probably you would say as well, ACC is a big solution, so you would probably present for hours and hours all the possibilities beyond scheduling. So
and I'm saying, give me 50 hours. I keep talking.
Thank you, Avas and Palle.